The jingle of glasses. Hi.
Makes things easy. How's
Hello.
it going?
I'm good. Welcome to AdSquawk.
Yes.
Welcome.
Happy day.
Happiest of days.
Got some technical issues all figured out, I think. We'll find out. Press record on that.
I mean, that would help.
Yeah, I've done that a time or two.
Is it okay that people know that we record this on a Friday?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, right? Transparency.
It's not live.
No.
Yeah. This
It
We record
is
this on a
Friday, y'all. I am so freaking jacked about that.
Very excited about Friday.
Do we have time for a random thought right at the very start?
Yeah.
We do.
Okay, so I was on my way here to the palatial studio, and
Palatial?
yeah, I don't know. All day today and into last night, I have been just kind of tired of my normal first 10 radio stations on Sirius XM radio.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of went up the dial a little ways. I kept going, and there's a bunch of shit you got to get through. You know, Bruce Springsteen, but it's not a Bruce Springsteen song, and all this stuff. But I got to First Wave, it's channel 33 on your Sirius XM dial.
Mm-hmm.
And the combination of it being Friday and it being 57 degrees outside.
Is it 57?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Friday, 57 degrees.
So nice.
And listening to this old new wave radio from the 80s. So it was a lot of
Okay.
like NXS.
Okay.
And
You were
Dude.
one with the universe.
Yeah. Made me very happy. But it also reminded me of when I was thinking about Sirius XM, it reminded me of one of the great commercials, brand commercials, in the last 10 or 15 years, I think. And it was either their first brand commercial or very close to it for Sirius Satellite. Was done by a friend of mine named Brett Craig when he was at Shy Day, I think. And they figuratively dropped music from the sky, and they had a car driving down the road, and there were like pianos falling out of the sky and guitars and stuff, and it was about, you know, the music is going to come to you wherever you are in the world.
I
from the
remember
sky.
that.
And it's just a great ad and a great, just a really interesting take on what we do.
How much was that to shoot? What was the
Well,
budget?
I think the shooting was probably not that much, but the CGI afterwards, the effects afterwards.
How did they drop a piano though? Like a real piano?
You know, that'd be interesting to know how they did that.
I would
I'm
love-
guessing they had some sort of piano suspended that they could
Yeah.
capture and then use that as an image. Those CGI
We
guys.
get one take.
One take and that's it. You
Those
guys-
CGI guys are just the confluence of artistic designers and people like Kelly Knopp, who's sitting over here drawing as we speak.
Hi, Kelly.
Perhaps bleep that.
That cross between folks like that with that kind of creative mind and then the art of programming and software and using computers.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I wish I could Matrix learn all of that.
Just
I know Kung Fu.
jack into the head.
I know Photoshop. I know After Effects. Right? Am I right, Kelly?
I think
It's on. You
Danielle's
can-
too
you can-
young to have seen
You can talk to me
Matrix.
now. You know what I'm
Have you ever
talking about?
seen Have you ever seen Matrix?
Yeah, I've seen The Matrix. I'm not too
Okay.
young for that.
If you're wow, when did Matrix come out?
I want to say around 2000.
It was early 2000s.
Yeah.
And is it Matrix or is it The Matrix?
It's The
It's
Matrix.
The Matrix
The Matrix.
officially.
The Matrix.
That's what I thought.
Right. Okay.
But it's kind of like saying, you know, on the line. You can't say on the line. It's online.
On the interwebs.
But that comes across as sardonic and okay because you're like, know that you're making fun of yourself.
Yeah.
I just like the word
It's
sardonic.
the intern, that movie with
Yes.
Uh,
with the
yeah.
Google. Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrible. It's like
I
it
didn't
was
see
a
that.
2-hour
Niro,
long bad advertisement for Google.
Was it De Niro
It
in
was
that?
no, it was
No,
Vaughn.
that's the intern. This is
Oh.
the internship.
Oh,
Oh, that's right.
It's
Oh.
Vince Vaughn and
okay.
Did you say the
Owen
the
Wilson.
intern? The intern or the intern?
The intern.
The intern. The intern.
That's how you know you're fancy.
The intern?
no,
or
I'm
the
I'm an intern.
I'm an intern.
All right. Well, before we dive into it, welcome to AdSquawk, episode 3, weekly deep dive into the good, bad, and ugly within the world of advertising. I am Sean, and I am joined today by
Jody.
funny guy.
Hello,
Jody
all.
again.
Eddie.
Hi, Eddie.
And Danielle.
Hi, Danielle.
Hello.
Hello.
And Kelly in the peanut gallery.
And
Kelly, talk to us.
K-Dog solo in the peanut gallery today.
Yeah,
I know that's kind of sad.
Miss-
Usually Kelly has entourage,
Kelly
two
and his
ladies
cohorts?
that join him.
It is sad. I'm carrying a lot of weight today. From
So
the
we're
start
missing Mel and Carolyn today.
Sadly.
Carolyn is sick at home, and
Mel's a little
Mel,
bitty.
yeah, Mel's got a sauna task up her ass,
Yeah. Right.
and is leaving to judge some creative awards.
Yeah. So today we wanted to talk about start off with culture chirps again. So CVS announced that they are kind of ahead of schedule with their transparency initiative. So it consists of making sure that all beauty photos in their stores, any sort of advertisements, are labeled either as natural or altered. So they essentially have their beauty mark on them to help customers recognize whether an image is airbrushed or if it's been altered in any way. So I just kind of wanted to discuss thoughts on that trend and how we see that like evolving, if we see that going into other industries like fitness or supplements. I mean, 5 years ago, it was unheard of that this
Yeah.
would be happening even in the beauty realm. So I don't foresee it being as easy to make that transition in fitness and supplements because how ingrained it is there. But I mean, same thing for beauty, right?
Yeah, I think it's a great topic. I mean, God, I love Photoshop though. Photoshop's so friendly, and if you think about it, like I remember when a buddy figured out he could alter his photos before posting them online, and he was like, "I'll never not post another photo that's not altered." And I was
Hashtag all the filters.
exactly. I was like, why wouldn't you? You're a handsome man. No, I think it's interesting though with the health and fitness deal.
Right.
Because even, I mean, if you go back a little bit, like the whole idea of the natural competitions, where that was very, very strict in terms of all, you had to be, it was like a bodybuilding type
Yeah.
thing, but you had to be natural way of doing all that stuff. I had a friend of mine that did it, and they were very, very strict about it. So it's interesting, all those little concentric circles as far as the advertising angle of
Right.
it, of how you present all that stuff. This
Well,
could be you.
Well, it's fascinating. You're right, because it's on the natural bodybuilding side of things, you have to get there naturally, as in you're not taking any sort of like
Right.
steroids or anything. But then the imagery itself is totally butchered in terms of
Photoshop.
Photoshop and touching it up.
Right.
So it's like there is a real kind of dichotomy there.
You know, when I love this topic because my base reaction is, what's not to like about this? I mean, I really,
Mhm.
and I know that sounds like super, I mean, I don't know, politically correct, but to me,
How dare you be
well, I know,
political-
right? But
Of anybody.
I know.
I know it's not my usual MO,
It's not your
to be
MO.
honest. But I feel as though everyone needs to let the human race evolve. And to me, this is what I love about advertising, is that I think advertising is at the forefront of cultural change.
Mm-hmm.
And when companies, because we ultimately live in a capitalist society, right? So when companies, these are the things that drive our entire economy and our society, get behind a social issue, that's it. It truly moves the needle. And I think humans evolve, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe if you look at the last million years or however long Homo sapien and Neanderthal was doing its thing and becoming us. It's not hard to believe that we're still evolving, right? And
Yeah.
and I think that
Constantly.
I love this aspect of the advertising industry. That is, I think that advertisers are often on the forefront of
Yeah.
cultural change.
Mm-hmm. Well, it goes back to our discussion when we were talking about influencer marketing within Fire
I've been
Festival.
thinking that
Mhm.
too. Yeah.
and that kind of curated experience and like just how the online persona that people portray through their different social channels, where it's
Glamorous.
regardless of whether or not those specific images are photoshopped, it's almost like it's a curated experience that is photoshopped and not the full picture.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But don't I also think that don't kid yourself with regard to I think that this is. I just made a big case that this is culturally relevant and it's us evolving. But there will be backlash and there will be dips again. Right?
Always.
And so, I think about the movie that my daughter makes us watch about once every 2 weeks. We have to watch one of the what's her name, Jennifer Lawrence,
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, right? And of course that's futuristic, right?
Mhm.
And there's the elite
Dystopian.
there are back in very like royal makeup and and wigs and things like this. Don't kid yourself. I mean, human beings are a sine wave, right? And things go back and forth and back and forth. So I think that we're culturally right now in a moment where natural is something that everyone's striving to get to. And I think that it's also wound up in our realization that our life expectancies and things are really increasing dramatically. And so people are just looking at my daughter says this all the time and I love it for her. She says, "Dad, we're here for a good time, not a long time."
Wow.
That's deep.
That's
And-
super
Deep.
insightful.
And I just think that she's 14.
I'm going to bring it down a notch.
Yes.
So I
Do it.
feel like this is going too far. So we have to put disclaimers on everything, and now that we're going to say this is untouched, I mean, to me, it's kind of a slippery slope where now you're making a commercial where you have to say, guess what? We adjust the color on this, so when you get your car and it's not in a studio
get
shot,
that.
it's not going to reflect light like this.
Ooh.
Or a movie, you watch Star Wars, and now we have to have this big disclaimer like you cannot go to space right now,
There are
and
no
you shouldn't hit people with
lasers.
lightsabers.
No.
Hold on though. But this is specifically about
The beauty industry.
truth
Okay.
in advertising.
Okay, let me go there then.
Okay, let's go the truth in advertising
Okay.
route.
So whose fault is it when a aging cream on a woman and they advertise that if you use this cream you're gonna look 10 years younger, right? That's bullshit.
Yeah.
And if you buy that cream and think in a week,
But you're not allowed to say that anymore.
you're not.
No.
I see it all the time.
No, not that you show me an ad that says use this cream and you will look 10 years older. That is
Yeah.
not a sketchy 1-900 number late night advertising infomercial.
You think you're
type
not
deal.
It's off
allowed, or you think
Craigslist.
that's part of the shift? Like people are stopped. They're like,
I
they're not using
think
that
I,
messaging
th-
anymore.
I think that the reputable beauty companies, Neutrogena, Oil of Olay,
All the
your
other
your
ones.
Procter and Gamble brands, whatever there are out there. I don't know. I think that
Maybelline.
that all of them are beyond making claims that are not provable.
Sure.
So I don't think they say that you'll look 10 years younger.
Yeah.
But
I get the point of this. I mean, I have daughters, and I don't
Mhm.
want them growing up.
But
and
here's the
seeing, like,
thing.
all these
this is how they
unrealistic-
say it. The way they say it is by touching up the photo.
Right.
So I think we both can agree that saying this cream will make you look 10 years younger is wrong.
Yeah.
So then, ergo, couldn't you say that showing a touched up photo that makes that person look younger
That's
is
the
wrong? It's the same. It's doing the same thing. One is using imagery to do it. One is using words to do
Sure.
it. But they're both wrong.
Sure, but the slippery slope is when can you actually like pump up a brand or pump up like look how crazy this looks, and maybe it's 1 out of 100 that it
Yeah.
actually looks like that. But are we not going to be allowed to do anything other than a cell phone with natural lighting?
Mm-mm.
And
Well, I
we
think
say
it's
that you
little-
get what you get. Isn't that what advertising will turn into?
It's the end goal, right? So they're trying to sell beauty cream here. So by essentially saying that it's something like the results are something different. Now, if we have say a car ad,
The fact that the sky is bluer than what you shot
exactly
you're not selling sky. You're selling a car.
If you could,
Yeah.
if you
I
could
think-
sell Sky,
to me,
You'd be rich.
that's
You would
the
be
line. Now I understand it's a slippery slope, but the line to me is you can't lie about the thing you're actually trying to sell. You can put it in all. You can package it in a bunch of lies. I'm okay with that. Honestly, I am. Okay, so there it is. I'm okay with you can package it in a whole shit ton of lies. It just can't be a lie about the actual product.
Yeah.
I
like it.
I'll accept that.
I like it.
I
mean,
like it.
at some point you have to be practical,
course.
pragmatic.
I love it for the beauty industry. I think it's great. It also feels sincere. I think we've talked about that in past episodes when brands
Yep.
seem like they're doing things just for press.
Mhm.
This just seems it doesn't. It seems genuine to me for some reason.
Well,
Yeah.
especially given that it's a major part of their business.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So this doesn't come without some risk for them.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they're just super tight with their vendors and kind of got their buy-in.
I'm
up
surprised that they have their partners who are willing.
So
to
this
go
is
in
something
on
I wanted
this.
to talk about
Yeah.
because so the statement that CVS released says their goal is to have all beauty imagery in their stores, online, and for marketing efforts reflect transparency by the end of 2020. So for in-house creative, that's an easy switch because they just change how they're doing their like in-store signage and they're doing all of that. But if they're using assets that are essentially delivered by the brands that they are reselling, that's a level of it's just a different layer of transparency that they don't have control over because they're essentially like relying on those partners to be transparent with them that whether or not something was altered.
Right. But I think this is pretty easily. I would think that it'd be pretty easily policed. I mean, I think it's not that difficult to tell if something's altered. But at the end of the day, they're business partners
To
with these
regular people, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, but not in the actual files, right?
You can
And-
go in and
yeah. And so what I'm really interested about is what companies will come forward and say, you know what? Yes, we alter our photos. We don't mind saying it. We'll put a watermark on it or whatever that
Mhm.
this photo's altered. We still think you should buy our product.
Yeah.
And there's a certain target out there that would say, I don't care. I want to see, what I would look like as pretty as I could possibly be, and I want to buy.
Yeah,
into
but if
that.
it's altered
But-
on Photoshop, you can't be that pretty in real life.
Well, exactly. And I'm not saying these people are thinking logically, but
That's
you know
so,
there
it's so dumb.
are some
No.
some decisions that people. I mean, most
Yeah.
decisions
I-
like
I
people
think
make
the-
emotionally.
There's also
Yeah,
an
for sure.
element of I may not achieve that, but I
Mhm.
want to feel like that
Aspirational
person.
in nature.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's a big angle there. I want to feel like, I mean, if you lower the bar, right? And I think the whole idea of the natural thing, I think, is a good idea.
Yeah.
However, are we lowering that bar of aspirational whatever, even if it's not necessarily all the way real?
hmm
There's a whole bunch of things that aren't real. I mean, not just beauty products. There's all kinds of stuff. But like music, for example, auto-tune.
Yeah.
I mean, that's changed the way that you can hear it in
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff. But there's a contingency of specifically millennials that they dislike the highly produced, really
Yeah,
commercialized
that's
music.
That's
Right?
the yin and yang. That's the sine wave.
Where would
that-
T-Pain be today?
You wouldn't have a cool.
Wisconsin.
You wouldn't have a
The,
cool.
first
audience.
pop star to use autotune.
Who was the first pop star?
This is good. This is
I'm
good.
gonna say
Britney Spears.
no.
That's her
I'm
real
gonna say,
voice. She can
I'm
sing like
going
that,
to
I've heard it.
say pop star. that uses
Was it Madonna?
auto-tunes.
I don't know how
It was
early
Cher.
the technology
Oh,
is.
Cher. That's what it was.
Do you
Okay.
believe in love?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you believe in love?
She's an icon. But also with this, so beauty companies can do this all they want, but on Instagram, like people still have access to edit their own photos, and I feel like that's
They will.
like people are still gonna Facetune shit and make
Yeah.
it so that they have super white teeth and like blurry faces.
Has anyone ever done that?
I
at
don't
this
have.
table?
I've never done that.
I've never done it.
Whitened your teeth on the filter.
Digitally whitened your teeth.
No.
I'm specific, or just like
That'd be great.
I've
facing out a
changed
blemish.
photos like from I've color corrected.
I've used this like stock.
Yeah,
like
the
the
stock
vivid-
filter,
Yeah,
obviously.
filters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like
vivid-
to color correct the middle of my
But
beard.
like,
How often?
so it's
hey,
not so white.
you'd like to color correct the middle of your what?
Beard.
Oh,
What'd you think I said?
I
I stopped you in your
wasn't
tracks,
sure.
didn't I?
Kelly, what's your take? Do you ever enhance, color correct your personal photos? Because Kelly's he's an artist. He's not just a graphic artist. He is also a fine artist,
Artiste.
which is I think there's a distinction there. So I'm interested to know how you feel about manipulating the color on your photos.
I have not done it personally. Honest to
do you even
to
have
God.
a personal social?
I
channel?
have.
I do,
Do you
but
post
but I
pictures
do.
of
But
yourself?
I will say, my wife would kill me for it. But she's in the fitness industry,
Mhm.
and her friends edit photos quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah. But I think that's that
follow
nasty
Comes with the
nature
territory.
of beauty or fitness.
Right.
Is they're in a competition of if you come to my class,
Right.
you're gonna look like this, or
Right.
here's what my students look like. So,
Mhm.
Well,
so
I understand that you haven't photoshopped yourself, but will you
handsome.
like color correct a photo of this
A
high
piece you've
alpine
made?
mountain lake and
Oh, yeah,
or,
yeah, yeah.
or here's us camping
yeah,
and you do the vivid.
I'm a big contrast.
So
I
here
hit the contrast toggle, and that's about all I touch.
is that. But here's a question: is that you're not manipulating it? You're just selectively highlighting different frequencies of light. That's all there, people. So technically, that is
right, you're
true.
giving it a haircut.
It's all there. You're just highlighting those frequencies and
you're-
bringing them out a little bit.
You're,
So-
you're waxing its nether regions.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yellowstone Park makes a brochure.
Yeah.
Someone takes a photo and they edit that thing and make it look.
Well,
Color
now we're back to the beauty deal.
I know, and that's
Now
that's that.
that's
full
the-
that all-
I think these are
it's-
apples and oranges. To be
And then
honest.
you show up
They're
to
not
see
the
this,
same
and you're like,
thing.
this color isn't the same. Like, is that okay? I think
Danielle, no, it's supermodels and parks.
Yeah,
They're totally different.
you're right.
Apples and oranges.
You're right.
They're just one color.
But also, I like the example that they put because it's like, look at the unaltered image, and she's just like this beautiful woman who has freckles.
Yes, and she's actually
She's-
much
she's
prettier
much
with the
prettier.
freckles.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no
And
question.
then we should share.
But I think that's part of where our culture is today.
Yeah.
Is that natural is no. I think I think you're losing your patience with change, but I think it's happening. I think our culture is getting much more in touch with natural beauty and freckles and flaws and plus sizes, and everyone is shaped differently and we all have our own taste.
Mhm.
I do believe that our culture is
There's
is-
hope for a short
Instagram
white
think
still
we're
guy.
just makes me
evolving.
feel icky.
and that's what the whole take it full circle.
Yeah.
That's where I think CVS is doing a good job by their own brand by doing this.
I'm gonna make a T-shirt that says "not altered." Like this is the way that God made me. Yeah, Jody unaltered, like a watermark of my own. This has not been modified. I know. It's brilliant.
You wearing makeup right
There's
now?
no.
Okay.
There's
I
hope
was gonna
for
say
the
you can't only do that on days you don't
hope
wear
for
makeup.
the short white guy.
Any Spanx underneath that tee?
No,
All right, then you're good.
this is the real
You can wear
deal.
it then.
Do they
Thanks.
wear male Spanx, or you just have to buy a?
I bet he
female
shaves
version?
his back.
You know,
though.
I've never looked into that.
Oh yeah.
You've never looked into it? You didn't
I
wear
haven't
any
thought
on
of
your
it till
wedding day?
now, but
Any of you people that have been married in the room? No
Male
male
Spanx?
Spanx underneath your tux or something?
No, haven't done it. I
Have you-
haven't even worn like athletic.
what about those Skechers? What are the shoes that are supposed to tone
Shape
your
ups?
butt?
Shape ups.
And they got a big lawsuit.
That's right.
Do you remember shape ups?
I remember those.
That
Oh.
was promising something
Oh,
that
did
wasn't.
they,
They were like
did they
this
have like a
thick.
heel?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like yes.
Yeah,
They're supposed
it
to
looked
be
like
good for you.
the shoes you
And
would
did
wear
they
if one
did they
foot was
prove
shorter
that
than
it
the
didn't
other.
work?
Yeah, it was like a class action lawsuit because they proved it didn't do anything for you.
Oh, I didn't know that. part
But
of
but
it.
that would be something I'd secretly
just
buy
phased
as
out.
a dude and just wear them around the house just to tone up my butt while I walk around.
Right.
All right. Moving on. Next segment. We call this Daffy or Donald. It's a play on this or that. So give kind of two options in a scenario, and I'm curious about your thoughts on this one. Very timely in terms of some events that are coming up. As I hit my microphone.
Yeah, I'm very excited about
I
that.
did.
Wow. That was like
Wow. I had no idea that
The-
you were passionate
No.
like this. I just want a moment to just kind of let that soak
right.
in.
Just,
yeah.
Yeah.
all right. So you're a national brand.
I've never seen that happen in real
You're
time.
so good.
Real time on someone other than myself.
I can't control it.
Get
You
it
know,
together, Sean.
Your
Tell-
microphone has a
shit
mind of its own.
Get us into Daffy and
All right.
Donald.
Go ahead.
Continue. You
Get
did a
your
great
shit
job of
together.
keeping us.
Put it in a backpack.
Yeah, we're good. I'm good. Eddie and I are done laughing.
Okay.
We've graduated.
All right. Right. To middle school. Yeah. So you're a national brand. You can choose one for your upcoming campaign, and this is really a conversation about reach or frequency. So you can do one Super Bowl ad, or you can do and this is national, so not getting into nuances of specific markets, but one Super Bowl ad, 30-second spot, prime placement right before halftime, or a sponsorship of March Madness. So not only are you getting a spot schedule, but you're getting the like Capital One tags that they did like in all of the games. So you're getting coverage across, the entire tournament. What would you choose?
Are we going in order? I would be Super Bowl all day long.
All day long.
Yeah, I think I go Reach.
I mean, it depends on the brand, obviously.
Yeah,
there's a lot
but I mean,
My personal brand is that I could give a shit less about college basketball. Sorry, Sean. And I'd for sure go Super Bowl.
stings.
I know.
that's you know what? You just followed your heart.
I did.
That's authentic.
If I walked into the house the other day, I gotta get this out, and Clark had college basketball, and I was like, "Oh, it's January, and we're watching college basketball. I want to die.
Way to
Want
shame
to
me.
die."
Hey, it's
We
not
watch
for
a lot
everyone.
of sports, so I
But-
can say what I want to say.
I'm going to say what I always say in these sorts of situations. It's a bit more complicated than that.
Okay.
Father Edward.
Because I'm sorry, but brand A, Super Bowl is right. Brand B, March Madness is right.
Okay,
it
well,
completely depends.
Pick a brand that you're
Okay.
using in theory.
I will say any brand that needs to build nothing but awareness, and you need to build that awareness across a large demographic profile, then Super Bowl is the right answer. Any brand that has a more narrowly focused male audience and would like a little bit more than just brand awareness, but maybe some opportunities to build some essence over time, should do March Madness.
Like erectile dysfunction of your microphone
Right.
stand.
And this is why
Not dysfunction.
Not
Yeah.
just
this
The
is
opposite of
why
that.
this is why they are priced differently. This is why they have different sales organizations to explain these sorts of things, and this is why good media buyers like Sean have jobs, because they're the ones that know these things, and they can help clients figure this out.
This was a trap.
This was a
It
trap.
was a
this
trap.
So this was the conversation that I wanted to have. So I'm glad that we've taken it this way. I mean,
so
in a lot of
organically.
a lot of these this or that's I think are going to be.
Listen, you
Just daffy
idiots.
or
Here's the
dumb.
right
I
answer.
feel like I've been manipulated.
Well, we do work in advertising.
Puppet Master Sean.
There's a watermark.
But I also want to know Kelly's opinion before we get into the sciencey.
My opinion would be probably basketball, only because.
Because you're a loser.
No, I don't even watch.
I didn't even know you were going to
basketball.
say that.
I don't even watch basketball, and I hardly watch football. But
But-
I think the competition for spending money on really clever
Mhm.
ads with big celebrities is so saturated in the Super Bowl that I think
That's a good point.
I
But
think I would take my money and put it up against some people that maybe aren't trying as hard with less money.
Absolutely, and
very
it's-
strategic.
Oh, that was strategic.
Kelly.
Good answer.
You know what that is? That is the confidence of a man with a short penis.
Well,
Because honestly, that is. You know what I'm saying?
Kelly, I was going to say, come on.
I don't know what you're saying. Average, maybe a little better.
What
Earning
I
that
meant, I
explicit
actually
tag.
meant that figuratively, not literally.
I
But
knew,
what I
yeah.
what I meant by that is that when it's just about knowing what you know and having a point of view. And I think that I agree with your point of view. I think that
Short penises unite.
if you're
Mm-hmm.
forced, yes, exactly. If you're forced to make a choice, go with the thing that is not about glory and pats on the back,
Yep.
which is the Super Bowl, and that's what people who are not that have little penises and are not confident
Mhm.
do. They
have a
buy
little
the Super Bowl ad. That who's in the Super Bowl? Beers. I mean, these are the
Go
short.
Daddy.
These are the short.
GoDaddy.
GoDaddy. Carl's Jr.
Yep.
I mean, these are the short penis people ads, right? Brands. Okay, and then
There goes
If
my
you
Carl's
go-
Jr. song.
but there are
I
also
was going to be in a
there are
commercial.
also brands that are more confident and they don't care about the slaps on the back. They're about getting ROI.
Yeah.
I do think that there are more opportunities for ROI in March Madness. It is.
Not going to reach me.
Hey,
Until you get convinced to do a March Madness
It's targeted.
bracket, and you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, like, here's the thing.
That's
That
true.
yes.
Did you say bracket?
Yeah.
Oh, I do a coin toss one every year, and I still
Well, coin
don't-
toss is
Right.
a
So
when
no.
you're invested
That
in the team.
opening
that you pick.
No,
weekend.
I would argue something different.
that opening weekend, that's the round of 64 and the round of 32, gets so many people who could give two shits about basketball.
And
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of shocked by Danielle's
Not caring about.
thoughts on this because those of you who don't know, Danielle's a collegiate athlete.
Yeah.
And is her boyfriend
Also
is
a collegiate
also
athlete.
an athlete. Yeah. And
Current
so,
NARPs. Do you guys know what a NARP is?
NARP? No.
Non-athletic regular person.
non-athletic regular person.
Wow.
And so I'm a bit surprised because she's sporty, and most sporty girls I know kind of get into March Madness. Now, having said that, I also can see that perhaps she's a yin yang type person, and I have a feeling there's something deep seated about this not liking basketball. and
What
March
was his name?
Madness.
No. I just don't have any. I don't have a team. I think is what it is. I'm not super invested in any of the teams. That
Well, no
ever
one
make it.
is. That's the whole point.
Some people super are.
Well, some people are, but they would have been the people who they're
They would
watching
watch no
all
matter
the
what, yeah.
they're watching the conference tournaments and all that too.
I like basketball.
No, I'm talking about the general audience that floods March Madness are people that, like Sean said, have filled out brackets in an office pool, and they can win. You know, if they win, they could win $500, and they may have picked by the color of the team.
Yeah.
But the minute that's their pick, now they're invested, and along the way, they kind of learn to sort of like the game of college basketball.
I have fun with the coin toss, but like then I still just filter my information through Clark. Like, oh, who can you look at
Right.
my bracket and make
Well,
sure I'm winning?
But I think that
There's a burrito
I
on the
think that
line.
you're in the minority.
Yeah, I for sure am, but still don't care.
It's living for
About
those
it.
UMBC over Virginia upsets.
Yeah, fun. Tar Heels.
Hashtag never forget.
What's a Tar Heel? Is that the
What is a
thing?
Tar Heel?
I don't know. What is it?
Oh, okay, I thought I misstated it, and I was like, that's embarrassing.
Isn't their mascot a goat? Kind of a ram looking
Is
thing?
North Carolina rampant with tar on the beaches?
I don't know.
The beaches I
I
grew
don't know
up
what a tar heel
with,
is.
I don't know.
I'd get tar on my feet.
Google that. We'll Google it.
Ed's gonna give it.
Ask the Google.
That's
Oh,
unfortunate.
it's because North Carolina has a lot of pine trees, and so people who live in North Carolina, apparently not wearing shoes, traipse through the pine trees
And then get dirt?
Sounds
get
made up.
sap
And then
on
dirt
their
collects.
on their heels,
Ew, that's a misnomer.
and then they have tar heels. No,
Hmm.
it's a turpentine.
I was like, that sounds like a
It's a turpentine
derogatory
compound.
term.
does.
for
I thought it-
someone
Well,
from North
yeah,
Carolina.
I was hoping that it wasn't going to be racist.
Also-
to be honest,
Yeah,
but
I
but
was
then,
hoping.
but then
I-
thinking
yeah.
that is that a racist? I mean, maybe that makes me the racist, right? So
Oh, I'm seeing.
let's not throw stones.
See, education is a good thing. We learn
Sure.
all kinds of things from the internet.
For
Cool. Well, thank you guys. That was a productive conversation. So
We learned a
what?
lot about Kelly's
You know what?
genitalia.
I hope when somebody reviews
I
this
hope we
podcast,
Oh, I
they give
can't
us 5 stars and say it was very productive.
yeah,
I
rate,
cannot
review,
wait
5 stars.
till
Leave
our
a nice
stars start
comment.
rolling in.
Is
Oh.
5 stars the most in
Yes.
It's the
podcasting world?
best.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
I'm glad.
Because some things are 4 stars, like
Yeah.
a 4-star
Well,
hotel.
Yeah.
If we got
There's
5
no
out
5
of
star.
4,
There's a 4-star hotel.
I just want to throw it out there
And
that
Michelin stars.
I'm not
just 1
above
star is good.
reading some 5-star reviews on the podcast. So if you leave us
Oh,
a
that's
5-star
smart.
review,
Oh, you get a shout out.
you get a shout out. So
Yeah.
do that.
100 per.
And
I'd
I'll
love
read
to
the zero
narrate
star
that.
ones.
Especially if
Can you
this-
give 0?
Hey, if this podcast
No,
is
you
part
can't.
of the
Don't suggest
curriculum of your advertising class in college,
Excellent point.
which is a goal of ours, we'll shout it out your name if you give us a review, and then
we'll
yeah,
talk about your
and then
genitalia.
Your prof will
Now we-
know
Yeah.
that you
For sure.
listen to the show
That's
because
appropriate.
your name will be on the
exactly. This was a great
Great
college
show. And you'll be
class.
an ad god at Clemson University or wherever you
Wow,
happen to be.
Clemson. Good
Go
example.
Tigers.
Northwestern
Good example as well.
University of Idaho Vandals.
Oh, also a good example.
A little shout out.
Shout out.
Mhm.
No.
Red Raiders.
Tech.
Yeah.
My sister lives in Lubbock, so I get excited when I'm familiar with
Guns
things.
up.
So speaking of our student audience, want to discuss what were some mistakes that you've made in your career? I think the exact description of this segment is: does the guilt of your past mistakes weigh on you like a dead ass
Yes,
seabird?
100% in all things.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about them. Let's highlight how bad we are. As
So what was a
people.
big miss or a mistake? Not necessarily in regard to advertising, but I mean, way better if it is. So
I have an advertising one, and I'd like to go first because I'm scared to hear your guys' mistakes and then feel like even more embarrassed about mine. So let's get into it. I'm
You
excited.
just want to throw the gauntlet
Just
down,
get it
right?
done,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, one
Pull
time
the
I
Band-Aid off. Just
pull it
accidentally
off.
CC'd the wrong person in the email, which has happened.
I've done that.
It's always fun.
Yes.
hasn't
I have
done
a
that.
funny story about that, but that's not the mistake. So
Or texted the wrong person.
yeah,
do
I love
that.
you too.
Yeah, I've done that on occasion. And I've
Yeah.
said that on the phone. I love you. Oh, wait a minute. You're my mortgage broker. I don't love you.
that's a nice thing
My
to say
daughter's
to
in the
someone.
car with me. She knows
Yeah.
it was a mistake.
Yeah, awkward.
Yeah.
Okay, anywho, so
Actually happened.
before I worked where I work now, I was a media buyer as well, and we had this like last minute print ad that we needed to get out that the client was like, we need to do it, it needs to run. So I was like scrambling to get the task out to the designer and then also get the order out to the publications. So I did the task first so they could start designing, and you have to put the design specs in there, right? And design specs are different than how you would put it into Strata, which is media buying software, and you put in the column inches. So I accidentally, because I was already in the design spec mind frame, I accidentally put those into Strata. I'm like getting hot and nervous talking about this. I hate mistakes.
So you
Breathe.
so you bought this like ginormous ad.
It was expensive.
Yeah.
So because I put in the design specs rather than the column inches, it was like, instead of like a 4x6, it was like 4x10.789 or something, whatever the specs were. I don't know. So it takes the size of the ad and multiplies it by the rate for column inch. And I sent this to 3 separate publications, and 2 of them were really chill. Like, it went through billing, and we did not catch it until the client was like, why is this so expensive? So my boss is pissed because we look like dicks, because it's like, why are you charging us so much for this ad? And
Let's get to the bottom of that.
Can we
Oh,
just
God.
discuss the terribleness of column inches and
Oh,
the like
can we?
non-standardization?
when you
in-
don't come from the print world too, it's like, geez, oh pezo, right? But anywho, so 2 of the publications were like super chill and just gave us the money back because they're like, oh, we're sorry we didn't catch that. It's like, oh, thank you, you're a nice person. And then one was like a huge
Not as
wench
nice.
about it. Huge wench. And she's like, I tried to warn you about it. And I was like, when? Because if you would have raised a flag, we would have caught it weeks ago. And she was just a liar, and I hated her, and I hate her to this day. And she's dead to me. And I won't say her name, but maybe I'll tell you guys later. Bye. And that's my mistake. How did I recover? Not well.
Apparently, it haunts you to
Years,
this day.
years of therapy.
Well, you're still standing.
Yeah, and I didn't get fired. And I didn't get in that much trouble either.
Was you just like,
It-
don't do that again?
It was
Well,
a little
at the
bit.
end of the day, mistakes like that are
I'm so pissed.
usually not the employee's fault. They're the fault of the business for not having a procedure
A
that
check and
prevents.
balance.
Yes, a check and balance. Now, having said that, there's always new ways to make mistakes that somebody can't predict.
So Julie
But
doesn't have to worry
To
about
bring
her
things
job.
full circle, column inches were designed by a non-confident penis guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There we
Just
are.
How does it go
saying
back to that?
Small penis guy.
Kelly, what are your thoughts on my mistake?
He's coming up with a good
You know what?
comment.
I really don't know the difference between column inches and otherwise. I should.
Regular inches?
Yeah,
Well,
I just
that's
go by
'cause
regular inches.
Everyone
I'm about
translates.
By the
Is that
time
what
I'm
you
about
work with?
60 column inches, but only like 5.4 inches. So if that says anything,
I
are
don't-
column inches bigger or smaller?
They're smaller because,
Oh well, yeah.
There's
but like,
A 2x6 column ad will be much larger than a 2x6 inch ad.
yeah.
So,
So
And
my wife goes by column inches.
and you go by inches. Yeah.
So that was my mistake. And what was the second part of it? I was just talk about it.
Oh,
All
that was
two
it.
of them.
just vent.
All 2 of them.
Okay.
Those were the only mistakes in your entire career.
No, there are definitely more. Oh, I sent an email to a Dustin that works at a different agency when it was meant for our Dustin IT guy, and it wasn't that bad.
Don't worry about that.
That one, obviously,
Yeah.
is like
Small
but
potatoes.
The amount
small
of
potatoes. to column
invoices
inch.
that we get that are from vendors that are sent to the wrong
Yeah.
Julie
Yeah.
is hilarious.
Right.
Like, Just obviously, nope.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was my mistake. Who wants to share next?
Man, I don't know.
Perfect
I
track
spent
record?
well, no, no, far from it. So I'd spend in 20-some years in radio. I had all kinds of stupid mistakes,
Mhm.
like stuff you'd say on the radio live.
Like a cuss word?
Yeah, cuss words. And
What's the worst?
all
What's the
kinds
worst
of-
thing you've said live on the radio?
Oh, yeah, no, didn't say that
Perv.
on the radio. No, I can't remember. I know we cussed. We had an entire phone call with somebody
Mm.
where the guy that was running the board forgot to turn the phone down. So we had this whole cuss laden, super funny. I think
What
it was
did
a
you think was
comedian.
airing?
Well,
commercials
so,
or music?
So what'll happen is you'll be running an interview or something like that, and then you dump into your music and you turn the monitors down so you're able to talk and hear the phone.
So you
But
guys
you
are
can-
also talking over music?
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
And
just in
having a-
itself, I
yeah.
would be like, call them now. I can't focus on all these things.
Yeah, I didn't do this, but I was the person that was like, someone needs to tell her.
Mm.
We had this gal that was an account executive, and she was on her cell phone, like hidden in her cubicle, but she bumped the phone
Mm.
when she did it and hit the overhead intercom thing and was like, I can't stand working here. These people are complete
That wasn't
idiots.
an accident.
And she just,
Oh my god!
it was priceless
Calculated.
because she, no,
She's
it,
out.
it was, she was,
She's gonna let you fuck
she
them know.
left.
That's her 2 weeks.
She left that day and never came back.
Yeah, no shit, because she
was-
also wanted you to know that she didn't like
I
it.
had a moment early in my career where it was right out of a movie. I was in sales, and there was this person, this older gentleman who was kind of old school, super old school, and I happened to be entertaining my fellow employees, other fellow sales team, with an impersonation of this guy, and literally I see their faces all go slack, and I'm like, he's like right behind me, isn't he?
How long did it
And I
last?
turn around and he's standing. He's right there. I was probably a good 20 seconds into a spot on.
How much did he catch?
Spot on impersonation. I don't know, but enough. Yeah.
Were you mad at your
And what'd he
teammates?
say?
Your coworkers?
No, they didn't know
They
he's gonna walk up.
Okay.
They didn't know. No, they weren't like letting it happen.
Okay, good.
They were all. I think most of them were gals, and they absolutely were giving me the
Hey.
the eye thing. Yeah, and I did turn around
Good
and I'm
voice.
like, oh Jesus Christ! And I said, oh
That was your boss?
Dan, no, he was just a fellow salesperson.
Just
and
an
I
old
was
piece
just
of
like,
shit.
I am so sorry, and he got over it, but I still to this day feel bad about it.
I
Yeah.
did hear a great podcast one time, and this guy was talking about leadership and management, and he made the comment, if your employees can't do a good impression of you, you're not around enough selling your vision.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, well.
That's
And
a
I
good
was
point.
like-
Interesting.
That's a good point.
Which I'm not going to do an impression of you, because...
I'm not good at impressions.
I would love to.
Trim tap.
I was gonna say we did discuss a bingo card. at one point.
you about linoleum. The
I don't know any of this. I don't know this.
You don't know the linoleum principle?
No.
Oh, shit.
Do we need to go into it?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This is a
So-
great principle. I celebrate it. I don't mock it.
I think this is really appropriate for creatives
It is.
specifically.
Okay.
It's a creative. It's how you.
Hey, get that mic
It helps
ready,
you make
Kel.
decisions in the during the creative process.
I wish more people would think about this in creative,
Okay.
especially people I work around,
Ooh. Damn, what if they...
and myself.
Okay, I was
But
like...
what,
It's like
to
they're
Edward's
probably
point,
listening
especially
to
with
us.
creative,
Mhm.
I think this is something you have to have top ahead when making anything. Go
It's
ahead,
a-
Edward. I'll
it's a
let you
filter.
continue.
So
it's good.
bottom line is this: that I call it the linoleum principle because if
So
you've
do-
ever
Just to... You made this up?
yes,
Okay.
this is my own.
Okay.
This is my own.
You're the
little-
creator of linoleum?
It's also a no effects song. I don't think it works well together with what you're about to say.
Is
Interesting.
linoleum principle a song?
Or just linoleum?
Just linoleum.
Oh, Linoleum.
And it's a
Yeah.
really drunk punk rock band. But
Um,
I'll listen to it again and see if it works.
I'd like to just say I'm going to make it a song.
Yeah.
That will come to the podcast.
Remix.
So the linoleum principle is this: if you've ever built a house, even if it's like especially if it's like a starter home, when you go through and you work with your builder or your architect or whatever, usually just a builder because you're poor and you're building your first place, you'll meet with them and they'll give you they'll do the design, and they'll give you specs, and then they'll give you allowances for all of your finishes, and then you go out and you kind of shop and do your finishes. And when you do that, you're going to walk in, and at some point you're going to be picking out flooring or something like that, or tile in a bathroom or whatever. I call it linoleum for your kitchen floor. And you'll see this linoleum that is absolutely everything you and your spouse or your, could want. And it's like, oh, that is perfect for us. Oh my God. And you like, how much is it? And it's like, it's $42 a square foot. And you go, what's our spec sheet say? What's our allowance? $14 a square foot. And you're like, mother. And so you debate it, and you're like, man, that's way too over budget. And so you end up, okay, ask the sales rep, show us what's anything under 14, and you find the best of that lot, and it's okay, it's great, you're fine with it, it's going to be fine, and you put it in your house. And you're just always, you're thinking about this great linoleum you could have had. You throw your first party or something where you have a group of people over, and somebody that you respect comes up and says, God, I love the linoleum in your kitchen. It's perfect. It matches the house. It's great. And so the reason why they can like your linoleum is that they don't know what you picked from. They only know what they see. And so when you're in the creative process, a lot of decisions are that way, and you have to be honest with yourself. Am I really truly improving the spot or the radio, the script, or anything that you're working on creatively? Am I really improving it, or am I just getting bogged down in details that don't make a big difference? They're just personal taste. And so that's the linoleum principle.
Yeah, and I think the simpler way to look at that is, does it matter, and does anybody care? Because the same person at the party, you're waiting for someone to say, I love your linoleum, when really no one gives a shit.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter.
Right.
They're
exactly.
your friends. They're there having a great time. Yeah. They don't care about your linoleum.
Exactly. Yeah. And you honestly need to also resist the urge to say, let it go. Once you've made your decisions, and resist the urge to say, oh, but you should have seen what we picked, what we could have done. Oh, it was so great. Because nobody gives it, like you said, nobody gives a shit. And B, you can't live your life that way as a creative, because if you are constantly regretting what you couldn't sell, especially in the advertising business, because we're talking about art in commerce, right? Mm-hmm. If you get bitter over the things that you couldn't sell, you will have a short career or die very unhappy, right? And some of that seeps into everyone. So I follow Lee Cloud's Beard. And I love him. I mean, he is so sage, and obviously one of probably the top creative in our lifetime. But I forwarded a quote on from him to some of our staff, and one of our more positive employees wrote back an email basically saying, what's all with all the never do this, never this, how about this is what we should do. And I just explained that, he's an old stodgy ad guy, and this business kind of jades you a little bit. And so you do end up getting a little dark in this business no matter what. So don't add to that by also
linoleuming.
Yeah, by caring about the linoleum.
Was it Brett Craig that worked for him?
Yes. Yeah.
I love the story where Brett had
full circle, because that's how we started the show.
Some artwork up on the board, and Lee came into the room. He's like, crap, garbage. What's this? And it happened to be some of his work, right. Some of the guy, him and the guy that he was working with.
I heard another an interview with Lee, and they asked him, how do you, when you've got 6 great ideas from top talent on your desk or in the pitch room, and you're trying to decide which to go with, how do you make that decision? He goes, well, first, I don't get 6, I get 5 really shitty ideas and 1 only sort of shitty idea, and then I help them make it good.
Oh God,
thanks for the vote of confidence, boss.
But when I read that, I realized that I and this was about maybe 10 years ago that I read that, and I realized that one of the mistakes I made was being too easy on the creative process and not pushing
That's
back.
critical.
I would give
But
you a
also-
compliment. You do a nice job of that.
But also, there's also a lot of I think RGA tweeted just yesterday. It was either RGA. I follow two. I follow Male Copywriter, and I follow Lawson Clark, and I also follow RGA. So I can't tell you exactly which of those three said this, but something to the effect of sometimes the bravest decision you'll ever make is to not make a change. So that's the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Right. So, sometimes it's about demanding and being, just very, very harsh and truthful and honest. And sometimes it's about realizing good work when you see it and, letting yourself just fall in love with the work.
Yeah.
There's a really good movie, by the way, that takes this theme really to the nth degree, but it's about cooking rather than being about advertising. It's called the 100. I think it's the 100-yard walk or the 100 foot journey. 100-foot journey. It's a cooking show. It's fictional, but it's about a French restaurant with a Michelin star and a Indian restaurant in this little town in the
Ratatouille.
outskirts.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
seen
it's
that.
Ratatouille. It is Ratatouille with
But
real people.
It is.
It is.
Is it? Are there
the live-
subtitles?
Absolutely. In fact, I said that after I watched it. I went to bed crying at the end because I love cooking movies. I'm like, it was just Ratatouille with people.
I can see Tracy
And
tucking you in.
Subtitles?
Huh?
Subtitles or no?
No, it was in English.
Okay.
It has Helen Mirren in it, who is
Okay.
just
Icon.
I love her as an actress. Anyway,
Tell your guys' mistakes so I don't feel like such a jackass.
Nope, no mistakes here.
Okay.
No.
That was a mistake.
That
What you
was-
just did.
that was a bad
right there.
I did convince a client to spend not a ton of money, but a significant
Give us a figure.
amount. Well, let's just say as a percentage of budget, it was a solid 2% of their total media budget on 2 to 3%, which I mean,
Depending
that-
on what the
yeah.
overall budget is. That's
well, when I tell you the
thing what it was.
Yeah, it was a promotion on MySpace.
Oh, I was
That's
before you said that I was
throwback.
going to say when
Yeah.
was this, and then I kind of know when
Money-
it was now.
Money well spent.
And I am not the guy who is generally falling in love or getting a boner over new technology.
You loved
I am
MySpace?
in the no, I didn't even have MySpace, but I am generally in the category of people saying, "Hold on, everyone, don't get over your skis."
Yeah.
It's not about how cool the technology is; it's how many people will adopt it and use it.
Right.
And do we have eyeballs, ears, or whatever? But for whatever reason, this client was in higher education, and there was just a lot of and I just fell for and I recommended it, and they bought into it, and it didn't work at all. It wasn't a huge waste of money, and
What was because how I was too young to know about advertising.
So
during
here was the
MySpace,
idea.
so I was just
Basically,
wondering what the campaign was.
the idea was to take
Really
their
young.
fight song and provide a bunch of the music you need to create that fight song online,
Is this to clarify?
and allow them to use like GarageBand or whatever to make their own mix of
early
the fight song.
MySpace or the resurgence of MySpace?
No, this
Or-
was
okay.
this is pre
Timberlake?
Facebook
Okay.
taking over.
Okay.
First gen, baby. First
Thank
gen.
you.
And so the idea was that people could get online and download this stuff and then make their own mix and then upload it, and there'd be a contest, and then you would in the prize was this custom made guitar that was made by a very famous guitar maker, and it was painted in the alma mater's colors, and it was like you got this custom made guitar
Oh,
as
that's
the
pretty cool.
as the
Yeah.
yeah, bowling guitars. And I don't think we got any entries.
Okay, I was gonna say because if you got at least one, there's your
But it was
winner.
all through but it was all through MySpace, and we just didn't realize the severe limitations of the platform and
Mm-hmm.
and the audience. I mean, we just bought into kind of some things.
Good
that-
lesson learned. I think we need to have a new drinking game. When Eddie's phone goes off, we should have like little, and we'd have to do like micro shot glasses. Otherwise, we'd all die.
I just take a sip of my own drink.
But I think that would be a fun drinking game for the podcast.
Oh man, I just got a text from my 83-year-old mother that is just 3 question marks.
That's it.
That means caller.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what? Yes, that is Catholic guilt at its best.
At its
Question mark.
best.
Question mark. Question mark. 911.
Fortunately,
And
my
most
brother
passive.
and sister-in-law are having dinner with us tonight, so that'll be a great opportunity to call
Oh,
Mama Joe
yeah.
Yeah.
and
So
you know,
I did have
let her
one.
live vicariously.
I don't know if I would call it a mistake, but I think
That's a really good way to view it.
well, there's experience going through stuff where you're like, man, I probably shouldn't have done that. But defining the lifetime of certain creative, right? So if Kelly did something, let's say 10 years ago, he's better at it now. But as a creative, it's difficult when some of your work from say 10 years ago shows back up on the landscape, and it's not very good, right? So I don't know if it's necessarily a mistake, but it's having the ability to control a little bit of the lifespan of some of that creative.
Well, but that's where
It's kind of a
You know what? But I kind of give you I feel like that's not technology protects you in that sense. I think that good creatives are pretty good from the get-go because it's about the concept and the idea. Execution is a whole different ballgame, and I think that execution gets to have a little bit of a pass because the technology has changed so much that it's kind of comparing apples to oranges. So when I look at old spots, you know, a good old spot, like we had this, I think in our practice broadcast 0.0, that'll not see the light of day until we're very famous and
it's a bonus.
putting out, like,
You have to do a
bonus
5-star in
tracks or
order to get
something.
access.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That'll be
So wishful.
featured on our
0.00.
Patreon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, good ads or good creative stands the test of time because it's about the idea and the concept. So plop plop fizz fizz, oh what a relief it is, still feels like a cute little tagline
Yeah.
and something that you want to sing song to, and that you'll remember. Kind of like currently, 5 minutes or more. You know, you can save. I'm going to butcher it, but
15.
15 minutes or less to save on car insurance, right?
Mhm.
Right, Geico. So anyway, I maybe
fine.
didn't prove my own point, but the point is that good ideas, good writing, good
Yeah.
good
I think
creative
you're right.
concepts, and
The execution of it, where I'm like, oh, I could have done
Yeah.
that
Can
so
you
much
tell us
better
about
now.
this
Yeah.
specific?
so as a producer,
example?
then you're like, but at the same time, you still are like, yeah, but we were working on this and we were doing it. You know, technology has just changed.
Yeah. Well, and some of it, I mean, decent idea that doesn't necessarily carry over, and you execute it anyway because the client wants to, and then you're like,
Right.
I don't know if I should have done that.
Now
Give us the
that's
deets,
those are the mistakes.
Josie.
And then
yeah,
it, and then it
those are-
shows back up and runs on TV, and then all your coworkers make fun of you, and they're like, "Oh, we saw you on
Okay.
TV. You look like an idiot."
Okay, that's a good point, but I think that's much more on
Stop casting yourself.
yeah.
Hey.
That, I guess I was just thinking of it from a
That's the
creative
mistake.
standpoint, but that's definitely a business mistake that we've all made.
That's bingo.
Yes,
was his name.
absolutely,
Thank you. We agree.
no question.
Jody, do you have a specific example, or are we making Sean share his mistake now?
Sean is up to bat. My specific examples will not be highlighted.
Okay, rude, and great way to talk around that answer.
Yeah, I
It
think
was
you're
good
welcome.
job.
Linoleum.
Good assist by Ed on it too. Next,
Deflection.
this is a thing I
Yeah.
found and then made
Classic
ring.
deflection.
I just
Hold
kung
on,
fu
now
the
it-
shit out of that.
It's a twisty, and now it's stuck on my
Oh,
head.
redirect.
All right.
Sean.
My example is that you always need to double check your work when you are using
Intro.
new technology. So
Is this
Fate-
going to involve a dick pic?
Probably not.
Okay,
this is not Snapchat.
okay.
Remember that
I'd-
one time when we talked about
I'd assume
political
no.
correctness? in
No.
Ed?
So in
Just
Facebook.
saying.
I know you're just saying.
So in Facebook, this was probably 6-7 years ago. They changed over from or added the ability from just setting like a daily budget to setting a lifetime budget. And there's multiple areas when you're setting up Facebook ads that you can set this. So in the initial page of the 3 kind of layers of setting up the campaign and the ad group, you can set overall lifetime budget, and I did that. And then on the second page, you can also set that overall lifetime budget, or if you don't click the right checkbox, you set the daily budget. And
Oh my
so
goodness.
Those are two very different things.
Two very different things.
Wait a second. That's
But
a
they would-
checkbox?
Well, it's like a drop-down select.
This is not your fault, Sean.
that's a poor
This
design.
is Facebook's fault.
Jeez.
This is like poor Steve Harvey
Okay.
when he announced
Oh.
the wrong person.
That was
That was not his fault. That was the designer of that goddamn
Right, but the lesson is not.
thing they gave him.
It's not that it's like, yes, it's a poor user interface, which still exists to this day. It's the not going back right away and like before clicking publish and just making sure all the
Oh,
ducks
yeah,
are in a
doing
row.
your-
you're doing a second check.
Doing some due
Yeah.
diligence
Yeah.
because essentially you go to check how the campaign's performing the next day and your
Yeah.
monthly budget has spent in 24 hours.
Ta-da! Measure twice, cut once.
Exactly.
for sure.
Thankfully, it wasn't a gigantic
Wait, so-
budget. So
Did it get spent in the one day?
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
it just like, well, because it,
This is a good
Facebook-
one. Good one by Sean.
especially in the
I think
earlier
that
days,
your two are both very similar mistakes.
Yeah.
especially in the early days of Facebook, it
Technology.
I checked mine. I just
it
didn't read
wasn't as intuitive of a platform to set frequency caps, and I'm sure it just served
Yeah.
every
That's
impression that it
insane.
could.
Yeah, that's insane.
And again, not being a gigantic
know.
budget, it was a small company, so it was just
Okay,
You
we
know.
spent
How did you
our
remedy
budget
it?
in an hour and a half.
So how did you guys remedy it?
I just had a conversation with the client, and
So do you need to extend your budget or?
well, and this was like an ongoing thing. So it was, and that was one. It wasn't like that was their only tactic. So it was
Mhm.
like, well, we
How'd you start
Did
that
it
conversation?
cost your bosses any money?
No.
No.
That's nice.
So the client picked up the tab.
well, I mean, they still got all of the impressions that they were gonna get.
Just in
They
one
just got
day.
them
in a,
all at
in a
once.
very short.
Concentrated.
bukkake
Yeah,
style.
Exactly.
Okay, pivoting to Kelly's mistake. Do you got one?
I have several mistakes, especially graphic designing. A lot of misspellings and things, which is everyone makes.
Yeah, no.
But
sure.
but I think a costly
that's
one.
ran?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah. Forgetting to put dates
What's
on
the
event
what's
posters,
the oh, okay?
things
I-
like that.
I want
I
to know
am
a specific.
not
Wrong.
a copywriter
No.
and not very good at detail, so I make these mistakes all the time. I probably made one today.
Did you have people check the ones that have ran? Because that's not on you at that point. as a
Yeah,
designer, I would
yeah.
Say.
And I fight that all the time with who is really supposed to be responsible. I mean, I'm the one that typed it and looked at it for 12 hours
Yeah.
and didn't realize I misspelled a pretty simple word. But
It's hard to proof your own work for the record, not trying to-
years back, working in the brewing industry, I found myself a creative director of a decent sized brand. And as a part owner, I had no one to check this. I mean, it
Yeah.
was Wild West. Like, I would
Mhm.
come up with an idea, a logo, a beer label, and just run it. I didn't run it by anybody.
Right.
So we were about a year into it, and we're like, let's get some more people to our tasting room. I was like, let's run an ad in the
Oh.
local paper, a weekly paper, and let's go big on this one. So we found out the rates to get a whole back page full color, which is pretty expensive.
Mhm.
It was a beautiful ad. I was
If you're
very
an ad
happy with it. But the deal was, if you brought in this ad to the tasting room, we'd give you a limited edition pint glass. So this is a good story in like thinking about what you're doing and not being in a big hurry. So we sent this thing. I think we paid $1,200 for this ad to run for 1 week. What I didn't think about was we put no limits on how many per person. But then I was like, okay, but what kind of person would bring in like 30 weeklies and want 30 glasses? And
Yeah.
there was
Wow.
probably 6 or 7 people that
What's
showed
up
up,
with that? No.
pulled out all of the weeklies, brought them in, slapped them on the table, took the pint glasses, didn't order a beer, and left.
What
So that was a
shows?
mistake in just thinking about like, okay, let's say I'm the worst person on earth and I get this ad.
That's how rules are created.
Exactly. So that one was a whole pallet of pint glasses and $1,200 out the door with maybe 3 people that brought those in were actually there to buy a beer and return customers. So that was one where my partners were looking at me like, that was a
Good
good
job.
move there, Knop.
You know
Like,
what
yeah.
though? That's what keeps
That
karma.
sucks.
That's what keeps karma going. Is douchebags like that?
Yeah.
Because karma's like, I got an appointment.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Limit
make
one
that
per
right.
customer. Purchase
Also-
necessary.
Yeah.
Like,
Why do they need all those pint glasses too? It's like,
to sell them on eBay.
Yeah, they're gonna sell them.
what a punk.
I
beat.
found a couple pint glasses and tap handles in antique shops,
Oh,
which I think is 25 years to be antique. Is that right? Or is that classic?
classic is 20. Antiques 30.
30.
Yeah.
So
Are these the same people that extreme coupon and get a bunch of free food and
Yes.
like
That's
hand
a really good
hundreds of dollars
reality
back from?
Yeah. And gleaners at like
I don't
food
know.
pantries will go to food
gleanie?
pantries.
Oh,
Yeah,
yep.
They glean.
Okay, I don't understand what that means.
Potatoes.
Well, I get that, but how do you?
So there are people who go and shop at food pantries that don't necessarily need, food
The food.
assistance,
Oh.
right?
That's
And then they'll like
Now-
resell it, or they'll
or they'll hoard it.
or hoard it.
I need this for my pantry. There you go.
There you go.
Odd.
For
Odd
the
people.
doomsday
Crowd.
seller.
Yeah.
We're taking it to the cellar.
Well-
The world could end.
I think that's what.
But I got all
washed
these
it out.
pint glasses.
Yeah.
No.
I got pint glasses and potatoes.
Pine glasses and potatoes. Hey, you can survive the apocalypse on that. So.
Yeah. Hey, the Martian, he survived on potatoes.
He did.
Yeah. Way to go, Matt Damon.
Way to go, Matt Damon.
Way to claim Mars for yourself.
All right, guys. Well, I think that wraps up
That wraps it up.
this episode. So thanks for joining us again for episode 3 of AdSquawk. Again,
you.
follow us on the socials at AdSquawkPod. Chirp at us using hashtag AdSquawk. Leave us a review, please. Send us
stars
your 5 stars only.
Be nice.
Send
don't
us
be
your
at all.
favorite bad ads or agency life stories. We'd love to hear from you, and yeah, we will probably include you in future episodes. So do it. Yeah.
You
Till
don't
next
get a,
time.
You don't get a pint glass.
You know.
One
One per customer.
All
one
purchase
mention-
necessary.
One mention per
Glasses.
5-star review.
Exactly.
The pallet
Quantities
ran
are
out.
limited to supply on demand.
If you want to create a bunch of fake accounts and 5-star review us, I'm not going to say no.
Ooh,
No, it's creative.
that's
creative
unlike
problem solving.
Sean.
Enlarge the show texture.